this is your name. And they say it ain't easy.
Gang Green
New York Jets
have their man.
Jets got themselves a great
Robert Saleh.
Talk about all gas, no break.
a great one.
We're not talking about effort on the field. We're talking about the process at which we do things.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Hurry up. Keep your foot on the pedal. Base.
There's no way I'm not gonna have enthusiasm on the sideline.
Hey, own this rep.
The New York Jets
Can beat anybody in the world, and I think we're going to win next Sunday.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Ain't Easy Being Green podcast, broadcasting to you live from beautiful, amazing, picturesque Crystal Lake Studios in Westchester County, New York. My name is Keith Farrell. I am joined, as always, by the number one Jet fan in the state of Texas, my colleague and co-host, none other than Michael Lagaris, everybody.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
What's up, Mike? Back in the building this week. You know him, you love him. The number one tight end in the history of college football. The big Wookie, Nick Kronk. Wookie, what's up?
What's going on, everybody?
Sammy not with us this week. He'll be back next week, everybody. Taking care of some high-level high school football coach business tonight. Can't get into it, all right? Can't get into it. But let's get right into this. Mike White Mania is back. Mike White Mania is back, everybody. Like last year, we had this 1 week. We had 1 week last year when we took that Bengals W. Mike White threw for 400 yards. We're Jet fans were just in euphoria. I know Zach was the future. No one was thinking about Mike White necessarily being the QB long term. But we had that 1 week to just love it up, to just be happy, to see a quarterback actually go out and play efficiently. And from that week until this past week, we hadn't seen that in a long time, you know? The Jets go out there and Mike White, 22 for 28, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. You guys all know the stats. 149 QB rating. Mike is going to go through some statistics in regards to this game that are going to blow your mind. In regards to Mike White, that'll probably surprise you as well. Michael, after this game, after the Mike White part 2, you know, his re-debut this year, the bigger, the better, more improved Mike White, coming out, taking care of the ball, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. After that game, Mike, Richard Sherman is going public saying Mike White is a franchise quarterback.
Oh.
I know Jet fans might be rolling their eyes right now. Look, I get it. Richard Sherman can say that from the outside looking in. He doesn't know what we've been through. He doesn't know the life we've lived as Jet fans with our quarterback history, which is a dark one, which is a sad one, Mike, which is an abusive one, but every once in a while, things like this do happen in the NFL. And last year, I'm going to get to Mike White. I just want to say something, Mike, which I didn't mention to you yet. But sometimes I keep receipts. And I remember last year we did a podcast similar to this one where me and you said, we don't care who the quarterback of the Jets is. We just want to win. So if it's Mike White, let it be Mike White. Maybe Zach isn't the guy. Do you remember when we said that, Mike?
We did.
And maybe some people even listening right now said, man, we lost respect for you guys, man. When you said that, we don't know what you're talking about. And what we said was whoever the best quarterback to lead us to W's, the playoffs, etc. Whoever that guy is, that's who I want as the quarterback. And guess what happened by game 20? Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh think the same exact thing.
That's right.
Mike White got put into the game, and the offense looked as good as it's looked in maybe 2 decades, Mike. Okay, you have some stats that are going to blow people's mind. I want to know what you have to say about Mike White, his efficiency, how good the offense looked, the resurrection of Elijah Moore. Out of nowhere, Mike has a touchdown, 64 yards. Very efficient, got the ball to 10 different guys on the day. It looked easy out there, and Saleh said he made the easy plays look easy. Kind of a veiled shot at Zach there, if you're looking between the lines, Mike, because he's saying Zach didn't do that, but we have a ton to get to here with Mike White. But your reaction to the game, the outcome, and how good Mike White played on Sunday.
My reaction to the game is I'm elated. The outcome, I am impressed. And Mike White, again, showed the world that this guy is the real deal. I mean, you can say what you want to say, and we're going to get into the numbers, but you have one game that's really an outlier, and that's that Buffalo Bills game. But for the rest, this guy balls. Okay. So I'm excited to go through all of the data and what the future looks like. But I think my biggest takeaway from this entire game was the locker room, was the people on that team and their reaction. Because, like, yo, like, you know how, like, say you do this podcast with me, Keith, and you do a good job, and let's just say we bring someone else on and they do this job, but they do it better than you. You know what I'm saying? I might know they do it better than you, but I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, son," because I'm gonna be like, "Yo, my boy, like,
don't tell me that.
It could hurt us feelings." You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about something personal to you because I know you're the illest at the podcast and production. But if I brought some cat on that was even better than you, like, I would just be like, you know, like I'd temper my excitement because you're my boy.
Yeah, you should see my press conference if that happens.
But that's not what the Jets did.
No.
That's not, and so anyway, that's my biggest takeaway. It was the locker room. It was the team embracing everything that is Mike White. And I have not been more excited as a Jet fan as far as our future than I am right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to think almost. I'm so surprised, I guess, how well he played coming off last season. And we have a lot to get through here with the statistics. And we also have a video we're going to throw on for a second. Give you guys a little bit more of the know-how. A little bit more. We'll get into a little bit more of the Mike White lore. Before we do that, Wookie, real quick. After the game, you saw the videos with the locker room. How genuinely excited all of his teammates were for him. Obviously, they're excited to win. Obviously, you're excited to go 7-4, put up 460 yards on offense. But professional athletes, super stoked, the whole locker room full of them, for Mike White, right? Now, if you're Zach Wilson, and you see that, we saw him on the sideline this weekend, how do you take that? How do you think Zach can look at how Mike White played and how the teammates kind of rallied behind him and maybe learn from it moving forward?
Well, I mean, I think if he's a person that's open to learning, which I'm not sure he is yet based on that presser that he gave that got him into this, you know, besides the poor play and not living up to what you guys wanted him to be by now, it comes, I mean, to a man, everybody said, even when Mike White was the third quarterback on the roster, he's preparing like he's number one. And that goes a long way with people that put their livelihoods on the line based on your play for the most part, offensively, even defensively. I mean, someone, I forget where I heard or read it, like Sauce or somebody was talking to somebody on the sideline on defense, like, I've never been on the sideline for this long. We're never on the sidelines for this long when Zach was in the game. So it goes a long way. I mean, the kid obviously came a 5th round pick, if I'm not mistaken, had to work harder than pretty much everybody else above him. But when you find one of these people that can play like he's played and you got him in the 5th round, I can understand on the outside looking in Sherman thinking that this kid could be a franchise quarterback. Obviously, he's been in the league long enough. He's seen quarterbacks. He's dealt with Russell, so he knows what, you know, the whole thing that encompasses. I think it's great that everybody's rallying around this guy, but it's not just out of nowhere. Like, he built that respect with everybody in that locker room by how he prepared, even when a lot of those guys might have thought he should have been on the field earlier.
Yeah, you know what, Wookie, it's a good point too. I think where you're drafted obviously is what kind of shapes the filter people view you through. So when not a lot of expected of you in the 5th round, not a lot of expected of a 5th round draft pick, especially a quarterback, when you're number 2 overall, that's a different story. I think if Zach Wilson went out and just played the game Mike White played this weekend, right? People would be losing their minds about Zach Wilson. Losing it. Instead of there being a lot of people that are still tepid, people might still don't want to fully commit to Mike White, 5th round pick. The same exact 2 games, if Zach had that Bengal game last year or this game this weekend, people would be going nuts. Oh, look how efficient he is. This is what we've been waiting for. But instead, I'm like, for instance, if you flip their draft spots and you didn't know who the quarterback was, you would have thought he was the number 2 pick. But let's get into a little bit more Mike White stats, data, lore. Before we do that, Mike, you got a video you worked up in the lab for the AEBG universe for Jet fans. The little ode to old Mike White. The White Knight rises once again, Michael. You want to drop this on everyone?
Let's do it.
In 2021, Mike White made his NFL debut, completing 80% of his passes for 405 yards and 3 touchdowns to lead the New York Jets over the Cincinnati Bengals, putting his jersey into the NFL Hall of Fame. This victory was to be just short-lived as the New York Jets celebrated a much-needed win during the 2021 season. Zach Wilson would return from injury, and Mike White would head back to the bench. The New York Jets would struggle to finish the 2021 season.
He didn't do anything wrong.
Because he's the hero Gotham deserves, but not the one it needs right now.
So we'll bench him.
Because he can take it. Because he's not our hero. He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector.
White Knight, baby!
The White Knight. November 27th, 2022, Mike White gets another opportunity to start at quarterback for the New York Jets due to a lackluster performance from Zach Wilson throughout the season. Immediately, Mike White begins to take control of the offense, spreading the ball around, hitting over 10 different receivers on the day. Here, a quick slant to Zonovan Bam Knight, who takes it all the way up to the 20-yard line.
First time running back. He angles out.
Amazing. Garrett Wilson. First touchdown on an opening drive for the season. Mike White. Efficiently operating the offense. Getting Elijah Moore involved. Mike LaFleur's offensive machine, razzle and dazzling the Chicago Bears defense. Incredible move. Garrett Wilson. Mike White unlocking the potential of this New York Jet offense.
Denzel Mims. Inside the
Mims getting involved. Tight ends getting involved. Elijah Moore again. Touchdown. Have been waiting for this all season long. Bam Knight. The offense has not looked this good all season long, and it is a broken Bears defense. But we have not seen anything like this. Mike White. Absolute tremendous performance. Zonovan Bam Knight, another one. With the game pretty much out of reach, the Jets just run the ball to control the clock. And with this first down here, they seal the game. Jets go 7-4 on the season.
W, son.
W, Mike. First of all, very well done. The White Knight rises. I loved it. I loved the Batman theme, everything about it, Mike. You worked hard on it. That was absolutely great. Caught me off guard there. All of a sudden, that was tremendous, bro. I didn't know it was going to be edited in that manner. Commissioner Gordon popped in, let you know what was up. Mike, you know what's something that I heard you mention there, and I forgot to mention when we were just talking about the game? Mike White, he had 10 different receivers. So within hitting those 10 different receivers, Mike, he hit all 5 receivers that played in the game. So he hit Corey Davis, he hit Mims, he hit Wilson, he hit Elijah Moore, he hit Braxton Berrios, right? Hit all of them had a catch in the game, Mike, okay? Yep. Our 2 tight ends that actually played in the game, Conklin and Uzomah, both had catches in the game. Yep. And both running backs, all 3 running backs, Carter before he went out, Ty Johnson, and Bam Knight all had a reception. Literally every single player on offense that could catch a ball caught a ball in this game. And it's because he was just looking for the open receiver, taking what was given to him, and just accepting it and just going, okay, if I'm going to get 4 or 5 yards, we'll get 4 or 5 yards. And that first drive looked too easy. I mean, I'm like, it was LaFleur a good play caller? Do I not know what I'm talking about? Because everything worked the whole way down the field. I don't want to be lost in the mix here. The fact that the run game worked as well as it did. They still averaged about 5 yards a carry, I think, Mike, on the day. And a lot of that had to do with Ben Knight after Carter went out. Ty Johnson with the big run there at the end. But man, everything looked improved. And it goes to show you what a decent quarterback can do for you. Now, decent's one way of saying it. And people want to put Mike White into a box, Mike, and be like, oh, maybe he can, not make mistakes and be a decent game manager. But kind of what he showed in this game and what he showed in that Bengal game is he has the ability to be a lot more than a game manager. Because he just averaged 10 yards a clip this game, Mike, passing the ball. That's not easy to do in an NFL game. The game versus the Bengals, too, 403 yards. We know 3 touchdowns in that game. Mike, the video was tremendous. I don't even know if there's anything that we can do to encapsulate how hyped Jet fans are at the game coming out of the stadium this week. Now, I know a lot of people don't want to buy into the full Mike White hype, and I get that. Just like a lot of people didn't want to completely bury Zach yet, and I get that too. Erring on the side of caution is probably the safer way to go. But look, like Mike alluded to a moment ago, Mike White has played 3 full games in his entire NFL career. Okay, he played the game versus the Bills. We know it wasn't great. The game versus the Bengals in this game this weekend were beyond tremendous, and there's some stats we're going to get into a moment that will blow your mind. And then he played a portion of that Patriot game where he played pretty good. He was able to move the ball. Zach Wilson wasn't that day. It was a horrible blowout. And Mike, the game he played versus the Colts last year, he played the first quarter, starts the game, plays the first quarter, has 95 yards in the first quarter and a touchdown. So most of what we've seen has been him playing pretty well. And then there's the Bills game that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. So the Bills game to me at this point with this good game this weekend, that's looking like the outlier. And he actually does look like he might be a pretty decent quarterback, a pretty efficient quarterback. What's your takeaways moving forward? We'll forget about the future for a second, Mike, but just 2022, the way he played this weekend. I know Coach Salah said, Mike, it's going to be a week-to-week thing with the quarterback. I'm not really buying that. But for the rest of this year, did that start this weekend solidify that this is the guy we go with for the rest of the year?
So in my mind, this is done because that was the best I think I've ever seen the Jet offense operate. And it wasn't just, you can say what you want to say that the Bears are crappy defense. Fine. You know what? That's the best passing performance against the Bears all season, second to the Vikings. Right? Okay, so you want to say they're bad? Well, the Jets did more on passing than any other team except the Vikings, and it was in a monsoon. What took me away was just the way Mike operated the offense. It felt easy. If I remember, you made a comment last year like, "Yo, all 3 of these people are operating the offense." And the offense is running and looking like a competent offense, and Zach comes in and it sputters. And I felt all year that the offense has been sputtering. We're winning, but you haven't felt that like, all right, this thing. White went in there 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 boom. It's like he knew exactly where to go, where to check down. He was operating within the offense. He doesn't need to be a Superman to have a great arm, rocket arm, make crazy throws. He just needs to make the plays where the plays are made. And in my mind, what I saw in the way how efficient the offense looked and getting all those people involved on the offense, being able to convert those third downs. I mean, I know we didn't want to get into statistics yet, but honestly, this game was even better than the Bengals game. The Bengals game that he had 405 yards and 3 touchdowns, he had 2 picks. This game, he didn't even have any picks, and he posted the 4th highest passer rating in the history of the franchise. The only better passer ratings higher than him were Ken O'Brien back in '86, Geno Smith in 2014, and Joe Namath in 1967. Wow. That's it. Those are the only 3 men that have had a better quarterback passer rating, a passing performance better than what we had from Mike White yesterday. And he did that in his 3rd start.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm looking at this like, okay, you know what, Zach, like, dude comes in, immediately throws 300 yards, and you've only thrown 300 yards once in 20 games. I let me tell you why I think he's definitely going to stay the starter unless he just craps the bed. Because I mentioned before, my takeaway was the locker room. The locker room was, you can hear the disdain and the issues that they had with Zach. You can hear it. The specific one is Garrett Wilson saying this is unacceptable. People need to be accountable. He's talking about the quarterback, guys. Yeah. Let's just be real about it.
True.
So Saleh, I'm going to get into Saleh here soon because I have some things to say about him. Saleh read the room, and he had to do this because he knew he was talking with players, talking with his coaches, and they all knew, dude, you got to play the better quarterback. And they've always felt that Mike White was the better quarterback. And this dude was just ready. He got in there and he executed. And so I don't see any way that they go back to Zach because you will have a revolt. You'll lose the locker room. And Saleh's not going to do that. Now, the only one way he could lose his job is if he goes and craps the bed again. So.
Yeah, sure. Of course. Yeah. If Mike White has 4 interceptions next week and 4 interceptions the week after that, we might be having a different discussion. Mike, we're getting into some of these crazy stats. One thing I want to get into that you just mentioned, though, it's a great point. And all Jet fans that have been watching the games have eyeballs, and they see the fact that last year Mike White obviously had that great game and looked a lot better than Zach. Joe Flacco's QB rating last year was about a 113, and this year he was playing pretty decent, at least at the beginning of the year. Josh Johnson last year, Mike, QB rating was 100, had 3 touchdowns. So every single other person that has played quarterback has been successful, statistically at least, and have been able to move the ball, aside from Zach Wilson. That has a lot to do with what happened this weekend. Mike, you got into some of these stats that are crazy. I mean, Zach has 4 touchdowns all year passing the ball. Mike White just had 3 touchdowns in this game. To have his name up there with, Joe Namath and some of the greats of all time, I don't think anyone would have expected that was coming this fast. But Mike, do you have any other stats? I mean, some of these things.
Adrian is asking you a question.
What's up?
Does Mike White take us to the promised land?
Okay, now is the promised land the Super Bowl? Is that it? Is that it, Adrian? Is the promised land the Super Bowl? Because
can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Excuse me, Mike. What did you say there?
Yes. I do think he takes us to the promised land.
As in, you think Mike White's the guy that's going to be the quarterback here moving forward for a long time, and eventually the success we find is going to be with Mike White at the helm? Is that what you think, Mike?
I'm thinking, why can't we do it this year?
Ooh, okay. See, Jet fans, Mike is hyped right now, and I like it. I like where Mike's head is at right now. Okay, he's all in because what we've seen from Mike White has been tremendous play, but
we have the best defense. I'm going to put myself on camera.
Do it.
Hey, we got the best defense in the league. The best. No one has a better defense than we do. Okay? And the only thing holding us back was our offense. It's always been our offense. Has been from day one. That's how the Jets are. And you're going to tell me now that we're going to have a quarterback that can drop 300 and 3 TDs in games like this, can operate the offense efficiently. We get another decision. Bam Knight comes in and is able to do those one-stop shop quick bursts that Elijah Moore and our other running backs are not able to really hit those holes hard, and we see Bam Knight doing it just the way Breece Hall is. He's not as good as Breece Hall, but he can definitely bring that value that none of the other running backs were bringing. So you're going to tell me that this offense is going to be a problem with the best defense in the league? Yo, why can't we go to the Super Bowl? I'm not afraid of no team. None. We're going to smoke the Vikings on Sunday because they have a terrible defense, excuse me.
That's true.
And we have the lockdown 2 best cornerback. Let's see what Justin Jefferson does against Sauce. Let's see. Because the last time I felt like this was when we had Revis and all those cats went up on Revis. They did not do a damn thing. Okay? So sometimes, I wish Sammy was here because Sammy brought up such a great point when he said sometimes everything averages out. There's regression to the mean. We have had the worst luck, worse than any franchise in history that I know of. There's always been bad things that happen to us. Well, so there's going to come a time where things actually go good. Okay? And I think this is one of those times. It was the emergence of things just at the perfect time. And this kid was ready. We didn't know our defense. We didn't know. And they're young and they're hungry, and the Jets don't care what nobody says about them. The coach is confident. All right. And we're going to mix those two together. Why can't we go to the Super Bowl? I am not afraid of any team, especially if you're telling me Mike White is going to be this. And I think he is. I do. I don't think he's like a top, Mahomes quarterback, but I think he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
I do. If I see this, I don't want to sign Jimmy. I want this guy because he can move this offense, So again, we're going to see, but I'm just saying, like, Jet fans, don't rule out anything because you got the defense to do it. You got the defense. You just need the offense to click, and then we're a problem for everybody.
And you know why that might be the truth, Mike? We were getting by with Zach Wilson at quarterback. He had 4 touchdowns all season, and he was 5-2.
That's what I'm saying.
So Mike White, now look, do we expect Mike White to throw 300 yards and 3 touchdowns every game? No, but you don't always need to do that to win the game. First of all, you just need to be efficient, which he is. Guys, there's only 5 other quarterbacks in the history of the NFL to average 8 yards an attempt and 70% completion percentage their first 4 starts. Chad Pennington, Ben Roethlisberger, Kurt Warner, Tony Romo, and Mike White. Quite a list to be on there, guys. Mike White, the first QB in NFL history to have multiple games with at least 75% completion percentage, 300 yards, and 3 touchdowns in his first 4 starts. It's really his first 3 starts if you take that Colt games out. He also did this versus the Bengals, as we know, last year. Guys, we had our best offensive day in years when it comes to yards per play, 20-plus yards plays going back to 2019. Across the board, that's our best day in a long time. His yards per attempt, better than every single game Zach Wilson has ever played in the NFL this Sunday. Obviously, I don't know if you know, guys, the weather wasn't great either. This weekend, it was horrific. Only 2 Jets quarterbacks in history have completed over 70% of their passes in their first 4 starts. The other one was Chadwick Pennington.
Oh boy.
Okay, so there's a ton of other stats, Mike, here that'll just blow your mind.
But he is the first quarterback in NFL history to have multiple games with at least a 75% completion percentage, 300 passes, 3 pass yards, and 3 passing touchdowns within his first 4 career starts. No other quarterback in the history of the NFL has ever done that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so awkward to even approach this with how well the stats are, because I want to exercise caution, but I mean, after the game this weekend and the way the offense played, you just want to go all in like Mike did. You want to get so hyped. You hear Richard Sherman and all these people talking about Mike White, dude. And other than to get to Mike this weekend, one of the reasons that the game went the way that it did also had to do with the defense, which once again was just locked down all day, Mike, out there. After the first couple drives they had there, the Bears couldn't really get anything going. Punts all day long into an interception there at the end. CJ Mosley, 10 tackles on the day, another sack for Mosley. Yeah. 107 tackles on the season for him. Mike, Bryce Huff had another sack. That's 3 games in a row with a sack for this kid. He has 3.5 sacks this season. He's only played in 6 games. We know Sauce shut everybody down. He really got tested too much this weekend. I think he had 1 pass interference call on him. But the defense, like you said, if the defense is going to continue to play as good as it is, and the offensive line, which deserves a lot of credit, Mike, this weekend, Michael Carter goes out. Now, Breece Hall was our game-changing running back. He's out. Michael Carter is a solid running back. I like Michael Carter. I don't know if he can get 20 carries a game and be healthy, which you saw again. He got banged up. But Bam Knight, a little bit bigger guy, a guy we liked in the preseason, came in, 14 carries, showed us a little something. That was surprising, Mike. Ty Johnson, too, with probably the biggest run of his Jet career. It just seemed like everything was working this weekend with Mike White in there. And, man, coming out of that stadium, those Mike White chants, some of them I can't even repeat here on the air, Michael. There might have been another word in between Mike and White that I won't say on this PG-13 broadcast right now, but I haven't seen Jet fans that hyped since that Bengal game last year. It's not even, Mike, it's not even just doesn't even seem like it's just the locker room. that really is feeling Mike White. It feels like the fans, obviously, if you play well, they're going to be behind you. Don't get me wrong. But just the way he handles himself and the way he's gone about his business and his story coming 5th round and working his way up, Mike being a backup for years and now playing well. It seems like all the fans are behind Mike White now as well.
You know, Mike Martz said that Mike White is the next Kurt Warner. And a few people just took exception to that. But, you know, I see there's something really special about this kid. And I think the locker room feels it. I think the fans feel it. I mean, we know of fans, our boys, that have stuck with Mike White. People never wanted to let him go no matter what, you know, and it's just feels right. And for him to do what he did, the way he did it. I mean, look, guys, 91.7 QBR, which is the 7th highest QBR in Jets history since going back all the way to 2006.
Crazy.
Okay, he had his average of snap to throw 2.63, which was 8th fastest in the NFL on Sunday, and he was the number 1 ranked quarterback per QBR, and he's the FedEx air and ground player of the week, just like he was against the Bengals. So, you know, I see 4 games from this kid, 2 starts that are absolute beast mode, one where he came off injury and was playing up against an epic defense with the Buffalo Bills. All right. So just have to put that context in. And then the other game that we talked about with the Colts, where he was completed, I think it was over 80% of his passes, and he ended up going out from getting injured. So, you know, the one bad game really is the outlier when you look at it here. Okay. Yeah, so, you know, and it's not like this cat is going out there and he's not doing anything. He's going out there and killing it. And remember what we just said before, like, yo, you pass the eye test, you're immediately good. Like, you come in and we already could tell you could play. Yes. That's what this kid does. He just looks good. And again, say what you want to say about the talent. I mean, he just looks good. So, you know, I don't know how anybody else isn't excited or doesn't believe in what Mike White can be. And I definitely think that Robert Saleh, and this is the statement that I wanted to make before, I feel after this game that I already knew after the draft that Joe Douglas was going to end up being our GM for sure. The 2022 rookie class, Sauce Gardner is the number 1 rated cornerback in the NFL. Garrett Wilson is on pace for 1,000 yards. Jermaine Johnson is the number 3 ranked rookie pass rusher. Breece Hall was a top 5 running back before he got hurt. Jeremy Ruckert, back up to the 2 tight ends, hasn't shown too much. Yeah. Max Mitchell, who was the 11th ranked right tackle, okay, last week, coming off injury, he wasn't even supposed to start. Okay, this cat's killing it. Starting right tackle, future. Michael Clemens, the number 1 ranked rookie rusher in the NFL. Okay, home run. So we know we have a GM. We know that 100%. I'm good. I am now 100% on Robert Saleh, 100%, because I saw him navigate the rough waters of this season with authority, with class, with keeping respect within that locker room. Think about the Elijah Moore. Think about the losses in the beginning and the receipt statement. Think about having to be able to bench your number 2 pick, okay? And then look at the whole offense as a whole and say, you know what? We're changing everything. Call up the undrafted rookie running back. Bench the cat that you just traded for. This ain't working. Let's change it up. And it works. That's a coach, son.
Yeah.
That's a coach. Okay? I'm good on Saleh now. I feel very confident that, maybe he doesn't have the right approach in the beginning. He'll figure it out, because it's those who are very rigorous and stuck in their ways, like Gase was, and won't change.
Yeah.
Those are the people that ain't going to make it. You have to pivot. You have to be nimble. You have to have nuance. And he's showing me that. So the Bam Knight move, excellence. Yeah. And then obviously the Mike White, that's a head coach. So I feel real good about him. And then Mike White, he's going to have the Vikings, and guess what? He's going to have the Bills again in Buffalo. So we're going to get to see because he's got at least these 2 games, at least. Even if he doesn't do good on Sunday, I think they're going to start him on Buffalo. And then after that, I think they keep starting him. So yeah, he wins these 2 games or even splits them. Yeah, he's starter rest of the season, no question.
Yeah, Mike, you know what I want to say? When you're one of the Mike Salah's trying to get across here is accountability. And that's what you were kind of alluding to there is Zach wasn't playing well. And where Zach is on the bench, James Robinson, whatever his issues are with the team or in practice, or whatever the case may be, they didn't think he was the best running back for this weekend. He's on the bench. These are 2 guys at completely opposite ends of the spectrum. The number 2 overall pick in the draft and a guy we just traded 5th round pick for, something like that, each being treated the same way by the coach. Insofar as you're not providing me with what I need in one way or the other, you're not playing. And that type of accountability is what the Jets need. Just because of your contract or your draft status doesn't mean you should play if you're not giving the team the best chance to win. I know there's other parameters involved with the quarterback. It's easy to say that with a quarterback. A lot of teams don't want to eat crow, Mike. They don't want to look bad. They don't want to put the guy on the bench. They don't want to admit they made a mistake. But because of all of those draft picks you mentioned and how good they're playing, combined with a pretty good free agent class and a lot of other savvy moves by Joe Douglas, that in and of itself, Mike, is why Mike White's playing. All those guys hitting, having this defense that we thought would be improved, but I didn't know if we thought it'd be pretty much top of the league like it is. Defensive line, linebackers, secondary, all good this year, right? I didn't realize it'd be at this level because who thought Sauce would be maybe one of the best corners in the league immediate? Clemens, we loved Clemens, but he's producing already. He's like a grown-ass man out there, and he's a rookie. Jermaine Johnson producing already. Garrett Wilson, like we said, on pace for 1,000 yards. Breece Hall might have been the offensive rookie of the year if he didn't get hurt. Max Mitchell, an afterthought in the draft, went out and played well. So because of all of these things and the fact that when you look at the Jets, even with all these injuries on the offensive line, they don't necessarily have the biggest glaring hole in the squad aside from quarterback. That's why Mike White's in there, just like Mike said. And the fact that we really do think he's the guy moving forward here that can give us the best chance to win. Mike, you talked about the Viking game this weekend. They got the Vikings. They have the Bills. They have the Lions, Jaguars, Seattle, Miami. I don't see any reason why going through that run right there, we can't have 10 wins or 11 wins coming out of there, Mike. And if you want to talk about the Vikings, I mean, the Vikings this year, if you've watched their games, what a weird team to watch. Wookie, this year the Vikings are 9-2. Their plus minus is +5. They have 9 wins, and their plus minus is only +5. So they're getting by the skin of their teeth. I mean, they have a 4-point win in the line, 3-point win versus the Saints, 29-22 Bears. I mean, these games are close. Mike, Wookie, do you think it's just a byproduct of the cookie crumbling in the right direction for them, a little bit of luck? Or do you think this 9-2 record is the Vikings kind of coming to fruition here with a new coach and they're hitting on all cylinders offensively at least?
Well, I mean, I think it could be both at the same time. But I think there's also a lot of credence has to be put into the fact that they are getting by such a slim margin. They have, I mean, Justin Jefferson is on another level. Thielen is still doing his thing into his 30s. They've got, Cook, solid running back, way above average running back. And Cousins is, I'm not Cousins, I'm sorry. Is it Cousins still?
Yeah, Cousins. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let's Cousins.
Yeah, you like that. But I mean, it's also shines a huge spotlight on that defense because if you can score with them, you have a shot, and if you have a really good defense, you have a really good shot. And if Mike White's going to go out there and be a competent quarterback, like you said, doesn't have to be 350 yards and 3 touchdowns every game, but if he goes out there and has 275 and 2 touchdowns with your defense,
yeah.
I mean, you could really expose how bad of a team on the whole the Vikings are. The offense, you're going to have to score points. But how many times are they going to run into a defense like the Jets? And by the way, preseason and all along, I said I think the Jets. I think Sauce is going to be a top cornerback in the league. and I thought that the Jets could definitely scrape into the top 5. Looks like they're going to be the number 1 defense at the end of the season. So I think you guys are in a great shape playing this team because you can score with them if Mike White is just doing Mike White things. You've got enough playmakers on offense to compete with them there, and your defense is ridiculous. So, you're going to make Cousins have to make really good throws, really tough throws. I'm so intrigued about this Justin Jefferson Sauce Gardner matchup. I think that's going to be awesome. It's going to be fun. It's almost dropped the F-bomb there. It's going to be effing fantastic to watch that. But DJ Reed is nothing. Is that DJ Reed?
Yeah, DJ Reed.
He's nothing to sneeze at either. So, I mean, I could see him locking down Thielen too. I mean, you guys are set up for a huge win here. I like the Jets in this game big time.
I love it, Wilkin. You did give the defense a lot of props before the season, so you deserve your kudos for that. Michael, the Vikings have been giving up a ton of points this year. Their defense is ranked last in the NFL against the pass, and they're 31st overall. This defense is not that good, Michael. Okay? Now, they have some offensive weapons we'll get to, but, Michael, how do you see this shaking out? I think you feel confident this weekend. So do I. We're going to go in there. I think we're better than the Vikings, and I think we're going to take a W.
Dude, if we're going to beat them, we're going to have to score at least over 30 points. We're going to have to get over maybe 450 yards around there. And you know what? The Jets have only done that, scoring 30 points and 450 yards, 3 times in the last 4 years. Did you know that? Only 3 times have we ever scored 30 points and had 450 yards. Do you know what the one thing was in common with all 3 of those starts?
Mike White.
Mike Mother Evan White! That's right! And we got him tomorrow. We got him on Sunday. You damn right. And we're gonna go and this again is one of the worst passing defenses in the league. Yeah, Mike,
they're bad.
Mother Evan White. That's right. I definitely believe we're taking a W because Dalvin Cook probably is going to hurt us. But I think that our corners will hold Jefferson, hold him, and he won't completely stop him, but they'll hold him. The only other guy I'm a little worried about is Hockenson because of
they throw to him a lot.
Yeah, they're going to hit him. But other than that, me personally, I'm thinking this is the Conklin revenge game. 2 T's. 2 T's.
2 T's for Tyler, and I love that. I'm confident going into this game also. Now, Kirk Cousins right now, 7th in the NFL in passing yards. Dalvin Cook is 6th in the NFL in rushing yards, 841 yards this year, averaging about 4.7 yards a clip. And then Jefferson's 2nd in receiving yards. And the defense is so bad, this team is only +5. So, like Mike said, they're probably going to put some yards up. They're probably going to put some points up. We're going to need to do the same thing to win this game this weekend, but I think we have the team to do it. I think with Mike White out there, Mike, they're going to be able to control the clock a little bit better. I mean, they've been getting by on the skin of their teeth here, the Vikings. Now, that Patriot win was tremendous. They've had a lot of wins right at the end of the game, so they've been really good at closing games out, something we've also been pretty good at. And on the road this year, we've been pretty good also. To be honest, guys. But the Vikings overall, like I said, their defense is ranked right at the bottom. Their offense isn't the best offense either. I mean, when you look at the overall rankings of the offense, they have individual players that are great. But, like you said, the Sauce Jefferson matchup, I mean, Sauce might not be following him all over the field, but at some point they're going to go head-to-head. I just think we match up well with them. I mean, Dalvin Cook is tremendous. But the thing is, this year, they get behind in games a lot, the Vikes, Mike. And they've been throwing it a lot more than any other year. You look at Dalvin Cook's attempts, way down from previous years. Still has the yardage, still has the yards per carry, but he doesn't have the attempts because they get behind and they got to throw it a lot. So it hasn't been a recipe for success against the Jets this year to go out there and just throw it 50 times against us. If we put you in that situation, because our secondary has been really good. I'm predicting a victory. I think the Wookiee's going victory as well. I think Mike is as well. I think when you look at the schedule, Mike, say, for instance, they win versus the Vikings. And we go 8-4. All right. You have Bills, Lions, Jacksonville, Seattle, Miami left after that. Now, the Bills game is really the Mike White revenge game.
Oh, boy.
And the Bills can be thrown on also. Zach Wilson was able to operate fairly comfortably against them. That's a home game. This will be up there, in Orchard Park. But that game is winnable, even though the Bills are good. Don't get me wrong. Still a winnable game. Lions game is winnable. Jacksonville game, Seattle game, Miami game, all of these games are winnable for the Jets, Michael. So I'm really liking the trajectory. I'm liking Mike White fever taking over again.
You remember the Bengals. They came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
They got hot, right? So I look at our team. Why can't we do that? Why not?
No, I mean, the only thing I think in this game you got to worry about them on defense, Mike, is Darius Smith does get to the quarterback. I think he has about 10 sacks or nine sacks or something like that. They have goodness, I forgot the other guy got 7. They have someone, I'm forgetting who their second best pass rushers, but they do have Harrison Smith, but they don't have a lot of playmakers on defense. So look, I think Mike White's going to. The only thing is the Jet defense going to be able to put the clamps on the Vikings. The Cowboys did it. I mean, the Cowboys defense is really good. I think our defense is really good. I think our defense is comparable to the Cowboys when you go player for player, Mike. They only had 3 points against them. Kirk Cousins too, and couldn't do nothing against the Cowboys. So I know I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked for the trajectory. I'm stoked for Mike White fever taking over again. Now Zach Wilson. One last thing I want to get to before we get out of here, Michael. Zach Wilson did have. I mean, this is a bad look to me, at least. Not the pouty face on the bench in the rain. That is what it is. You know that reporters and photographers, Mike, they're waiting during that game to get the picture of him with a frowny face so they can use that and go, look how mad he is on the bench. They're trying to get that. What stood out to me, though, was after the game, or during the game, I should say, Mike White throws a touchdown. Joe Flacco and the Reveler Streveler go over. They're looking at the iPad together, all of them looking at coverages. Zach's all by himself on the bench. He's not with the other quarterbacks. He's not even with them at all. They showed that on television. I mean, is that – I understand that Zach apologized, and I understand he was in a position he had to apologize. But to you, if it was Michael Legaris in the same situation, would you be on the bench trying to be the best teammate possible and be there supporting your teammates, supporting Mike White, looking at the film or whatever the case may be with the other quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Or would you separate yourself to the side and pout when you know the cameras are on you? Like, it just seems like a bonehead decision.
Well, I actually did look into this, and he was looking at the iPad, and then Joe Flacco came walking, and he essentially handed the iPad to Joe, and then Joe sat down and was looking at his, and then he kind of just looked off to the side, and they caught the shot. And you know what? They got it, in my opinion, Saleh, if you're going to make him inactive, just hide him. Hide him. Don't put him in the view of the cameras. Don't, just put him away.
Mike,
okay, and let him.
What do you think about Saleh saying in the press conference this week that the quarterback situation is going to be a week-to-week thing?
He has to say that
right
now. He has to say. Right? He has to say that. It's coach speak. You can tell he already knows what the deal is.
Because Mike, he said Mike White's start this weekend didn't alter the game plan. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Are you kidding? What are you talking? So I mean, that was just coach speak, right? Because I heard that, and I'm like, that doesn't seem like no coach is going to leave a team in limbo that's this good every week, not knowing who the quarterback is. That's not like, oh, maybe Zach's coming back. That's not happening. You know, what do we think? He did the same thing last year. Then he threw 5 interceptions. Well, he threw 4 interceptions. He didn't throw 5 interceptions. And that was, like we said, hey, who knows what's going to happen with Mike White, Manny. And Mike White could go out there and play like garbage this weekend. Mike White last year played well, all the sample that we have aside from the Bills game. And then he played well this most recent game. I don't know why anyone would think Mike White's temporary. And theoretically, Mike White could be temporary, but the guy who's taking over from him isn't going to be Zach.
Let me put it to you this way, Manny. If you were to take quarterbacking and make it like it was reading, right? And best level is, you know, not being able to write a novel, and the lowest is, you know, alphabet. Okay, Mike White in his 4 starts has written 2 bestseller novels. 2 bestsellers. Okay, like this is epic. Not what his jersey is literally in the Hall of Fame. I'm not playing like it actually is. Okay, and he's played 4 starts. So half the time he started, this dude wrote bestseller novels. And Zach Wilson played 20 games, and he's still struggling with the ABCs.
Yeah,
with the ABCs.
Simple stuff.
Okay, little things. Berrios is sitting 10 feet from him, and he throws it above his head. I mean,
well, to be fair,
I can't.
Mike,
I can't. When you are that basic and struggle with the basic things, right? And you got this cat throwing 4 touchdowns, 400 yards, 300 yards, Keith, we can't.
Let's just do this. And I know it. I don't think Manny said Zach Wilson's the guy in that statement. He just might not think Mike White's the guy, which is also fair to say, Mike, because we haven't had a good sample. I'm going to allow that. But the thing is, if you are a Jet fan, Manny, you could just be a troll. But if you are a Jet fan, how do you not see Mike White play that well, right? And play that well against the Bengals. He played good against the Colts. He played good against the Pats last year. I know the Bills game stunk, but how can you see all that and just be like, screw that, man. He's not the guy. You don't know yet. So we have to see what the story is as the year moves forward. But, Mike, I think we got everything in, right?
Yeah, he says, okay, but Zach is 5-3 this year. You think Mike White can do better?
Well, see,
he has done better, Manny. Where are you watching the games? I'm not even a Jet fan, and I know this.
Yeah, he's just strictly talking about record. So we're gonna need. Hey, look, if we're just talking about wins and W's, I get it. Jet fans want to see wins, but we're 5. That's the record of the games Zach played in, and they won those games. A lot of those situations in spite of how he played, not because of how he played. So you can tell me the record if you want. That's fine. Bring up Mark Sanchez's record his second year when they just went 11-5, and he stunk the entire season. And we had the best running team. We had the best defense. It wasn't because of Mark Sanchez we won.
I mean, the guy's thrown 4.
Mike, just like a lot of these games with Zach Wilson, there isn't a game they won that he quarterbacked that they won because of Zach Wilson.
Right.
Not one of the games. Not a single game we won this year did we win because of him. So I get what the record is. Of course, we know what the record is. Of course, we thought Zach would maybe get 5 or 6 wins the whole year. So wins and losses matters, but it's too early with Mike White to say one way or the other, at least so far as I'm concerned. He's 1-0 this year. We'll see what happens moving forward. We have a tough 2-game stretch here, and then some games you would think will be winnable games. So we'll see what happens, Manny. We'll see how it shakes out. Jet fans, though, let's just go for the ride here. Let's just hope for the best instead of hoping for the worst or expecting the worst. I mean, Zach Wilson was as bad as it gets. He was horrible for 2 years. So Manny might not think that Mike White's the guy, and he might be right, but I don't think that Zach Wilson's the guy, and I think Mike White, Manny, is helping Jet fans see that Zach's not the dude. Because even if you think Mike White stinks, he's playing pretty damn good compared to Zach Wilson. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see what happens next year. We'll see what happens moving forward. Let's just roll for this year.
Just enjoy it.
Hope we get the dubs, Manny. I totally understand. And just like Manny, it's hard.
It's hard. It's hard to believe, son. It's hard. But that's why I'm like, I feel the regression to the mean. Yeah. No organization or group of humans is bad forever. There's just going to come a time when you're going to be good, and this may be the time. And you know what? With all the things that have happened to us, when is the right thing going to happen to us? And you know what? A 5th round pick that named Mike White. Who knows? Who knows? But you know what? The man's jersey's hanging in the Hall of Fame. Okay, and the man just won FedEx Ground Player of the Week, and he just posted the second best passing numbers against an NFL team in his debut start. Okay, and he completed balls to 10 different receivers on our team, and the whole locker room is excited that he is leading this team. I'm excited, and I'm gonna watch on Sunday. We're gonna go up there into Minnesota. I'm not afraid of them. We have a better defense than they do. Okay? In my opinion, we got a better coach than they do. All right? And we're about to find out if we have a better quarterback and a better offense than they do. All right? I'm ready to go. Guys, Garrett Wilson, if we didn't have Zach Wilson, Garrett would right now be the runaway offensive rookie of the year outside of Breece Hall. Okay? People are saying that he's the next Justin Jefferson. Elijah Moore has been nowhere to be found. Why? Because Zach does 0, and this dude's already catching touchdowns. What? Bro, let's go. I'm ready.
Strap yourselves in, Jet fans. We're 7-4 right now. We're in playoff position right now. The next 2 games are going to be tough after that. The Dolphin game, the end of the year, is tough too. But hey, these are winnable games for us. 3-4 more wins, not out of the question. And we might be rolling into the playoffs with Mike White. So let the season end, let the smoke clear out of the room, and then we'll see what we think about Mike White then. But for now, I'm just enjoying the ride. Mike. I've been seeing too bad a quarterback play for too long. And then Mike White last game had one of the best games in our franchise's history. And I might not be saying much, but I mean, it's not something to laugh at either, considering how bad our quarterback play has been for so long. So,
yeah,
Mike, if anyone doesn't want to get at us, support us in any way, shape, or form, the AEBG world, where can they do that?
Guys, we're on YouTube. Please like and subscribe on Facebook at AEBG.JetsRadio, on Twitter at AEBG_NYJ Podcast, and on Instagram at jet.aebg.
Thank you, Manny, and everyone else for hitting us up while we're doing the show. On behalf of the number one Jet fan in the state of Texas, Michael Agaris, on behalf of the greatest tight end in college football history, the big Wookie Nick Kronk, my name's Keith Farrell. Jets coming up with a W this weekend. Do that next week, everybody. Peace out.
All righty.
Nice.
I got to get rid of that shot right there with I have a Jamal Adams jersey on. It's terrible.
I know. You know what?
I was terrible.
Do I have a Jamal on as well?
No. You might.
I'll read. I'll just go ahead and whip up a whole new intro for us. I got to get Sammy in there too and stuff,
Yeah.
All right. Great job, guys.
Awesome stuff.